Hello everyone, my name is Cody. I run the Jamming Llama Games channel here on YouTube. We play a bunch of tabletop role-playing games. Right now I'm running a Dragonbane game. We're about to start Carl's new D&D campaign. And I recently got His Majesty the Worm, and I'm thinking I would like to run a one-shot, maybe a mini campaign of this for the guys. So I'm spending some time setting up my Foundry module, and I was going to kind of just make a test character. That's kind of I found that's a good way to kind of get to know a new system, and this system is very strange. So definitely need to spend some time getting used to it before I try to run it. So since I'm going to create a character anyway, I thought I would just record it and maybe somebody will find it useful. I've recently done a similar thing with Dolmenwood, which I'm still planning on. Hopefully Dolmenwood would be my next basically campaign, whereas this will just be this would just be either one shots or a mini campaign, kind of in between in between times when we're playing with Carl's game. I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah. So let's go over the Foundry module here. So there's not a system for His Majesty the Worm on Foundry yet. So I'm planning on doing kind of the same thing I was thinking I would do for Dolmenwood, which is basically use some other system. In this case, I think I'm running Old School Essentials, but I don't think it really matters. And then use the PDF Reader module, or no, is it PDF Reader? Let me show you the modules that I'm using. Let's go into Manage Modules. It is PDF Pager module to use the form fillable character sheet PDF as the actor sheet, basically. Let's see some of the other modules. I've got advanced drawing tools because I like to be able to change the text. That module lets me do that. Got Dice So Nice just out of habit. There's no dice in this game, so don't really need that. Foundry VTT cards has a deck of cards for the tarot deck, which I've used, and I'll show you how I set that up. But that's a very helpful module. I've got Fungi of the Farm Realms. I backed that on Kickstarter. I don't know if I'll actually use it in this game, but I checked it. And then Tokenizer, because I like Tokenizer. But yeah, that's it for modules. Let me show you what the form fillable PDF looks like. It's got this cheat sheet, which, I guess I could take that off and make that a separate, a separate image for the characters, but I don't know, I kind of like it. And then, yeah, it's got 2-page character sheet here with the resources and then the supplies. So yeah, we'll go over that more as we make characters. Let me show you how I set up the card decks and then some of the macros that I've got. And I'll be putting all these macros in a GitHub repo, which I will link in the description of this video. I am an application developer by trade, but I'm not claiming that I'm some sort of expert on these modules. And so, yeah, take them for what they are. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Card stacks. Okay, so basically what I did was I imported the tarot deck from the Foundry Cards module, and then I split it into 2 separate decks according to the rules. So I've got a GM deck, which is the Major Arcana minus the Fool card. And what you have to do is you have to go in and enter the values for each of these cards. The Foundry Cards module doesn't have the values. So you can get the values off of the name of the card. I guess you could look at the card, but yeah, so I entered the values for the GM deck, but not for the suit. So you will need to create this deck and enter those values. Then the second one is a player deck, which this is basically all the minor arcana plus the Fool card. And in this, for these, you have to enter both the suit and the value, because those were not entered originally. So it's kind of a pain, but put on some music and type, right? One thing, I entered the suit of Pentacles as pence, which I ended up having to kind of code around that in my modules. So if I did this again, I might just enter pentacles instead of pence. I kind of wish it was called coins. I think that makes a little more sense. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so you need a GM deck, a player deck, and then you also need to create a GM discard pile and a player discard pile. And then I created a GM hand, and then inside this player hands directory, I created a hand for each of my players. I haven't gotten too far into how we're going to do the challenge phase. I think that's going to be the most difficult thing as far as the cards, because that's the only time when you have to hold cards in your hand and you're supposed to play initiative face down. So anyway, I'm still working out that, but yeah. All right, let me show you some of the modules that I made. The first module I made is just a draw player card module. So you click this and it just draws a player card. So in this case, I drew the 8 of Swords. The one wrinkle here is if I were to draw the Fool. Now, so if you look now, if you go to the card deck and you look at the player deck, you'll see that one I just drew is shown as drawn. And then if you look at the discard pile, it's in the discard pile. So the macro basically draws the card and then discards it. And the wrinkle is if you draw the Fool, it will actually refresh both the GM deck and the player deck. And it does that anytime you draw a card, basically. So, all right, so that's that. Now this one's a little more complicated. This is to test fate. So the way His Majesty the Worm works as far as a test is that you draw a card, you add it to your ability modifier in that suit, basically in the whatever action you're doing, and then if it's 14 or higher, it's a success. If it's less than that, it's a failure. Then you can choose to push your luck, and you basically draw another card and add that to it, and then if you still fail, that's a great failure. Now, in the original draw, if you had succeeded and drawn a card in the same suit as the action that you're taking, then you get a great success. So the module tries to do that. So let me show you. So it asks for the attribute type, and that's swords, pentacles, cups, or wands, and then your attribute score. So let's just say I was doing a cups action, and my attribute score is 2. And then I can roll it with I can draw just normal, or I can draw with favor, or I can draw it disfavor. Favor adds 3, disfavor subtracts 3. So let's just go favor, and then you test fate. And in this case, I got a success. I drew a 13 of wands, which 13 plus my value of 2 is 15, plus my favor of 3 is at 18. That's greater than 14, so it's success. Let me see if I can fail on one of these. Let's just do swords 2 with disfavor. There you go. That's a failure. So yeah, I got a total value of 3. Now, I originally had planned on putting a button, a push fate button, sort of like how the push buttons are in the Free League modules, but I couldn't figure out a way to attach a button handler to the button. So yeah, maybe if anybody knows how to do that, some sample code in the comments would be great. But for now, I just said, hey, you want to push this? Then just run the push fate macro, and that's this one here. And all that does is ask for your previous total. In this case, it would be 3. Hit the push fate, and I got a total of 8, which is still less than 14, so I got a great failure. Now again, all of these card images are coming from that PDF or that Foundry Cards module. So I think these are like public domain. I can't remember what the name of the tarot deck is, but anyway, it was nice to not have to upload all these pictures and all that stuff. So let's see what else I got. I have a draw GM card here that will just draw me a card from the GM deck, and you'll notice it is a whisper to the GM. So in this case, I drew a 5. So when I have to flip a card for the meat grinder table, I can just hit this macro to draw another one. Whoop, censored. Okay, so the other macro I'm working on now is to the challenge phase. This will basically, my thought process is that when I click this macro, it will move us over to my challenge phase landing, which looks like this. And then it will draw 4 cards for each of the players. And then it will figure out how many cards I need to draw for the GM, and it will draw that many and put it in my GM hand. But yeah, like I said, I still have to work through some stuff as how the challenge phase is going to work. I've also added landing pages for the other phases. So this is the camping phase. Basically shows the procedure and then the actions that they can take in the camp phase, and then something similar for the city phase. Has the city actions. Of course, those, if you've watched any of my games, you probably would not be surprised to find out this. The thing I'm looking forward to most about this game is the procedures for city and camping. I love camping procedures in games. So okay, yeah. So let's create a character. First of all, I need to create an actor. We'll just call it test character. This should, if you did your settings, your PDF reader settings right, it should pull up the adventurer sheet. Let's see if I can make it bigger. The only thing I set up as far as the mapping is the name. If you haven't done that before, you can check my Dolmenwood video, which I will link below. That will show you how to do that. It's pretty simple. Since the OSE module doesn't really map to a lot of these other things, I just left them blank. So anyway, all right, I've got my my actor sheet ready. So I created a little player's guide with some screenshots. So we'll start with the call to adventure. So this first step. So basically, when I get together with with my players, we'll have a session 0. We'll go over this together. But this is sort of like a life path system, a very simplified life path system here. So yeah, let's go through it. So the first step is origin. Your home, your hearth, and your heart are your adventurer's biggest influences. Choose a kith and a kin from chapter 4 and write down your kin talent. So I put the list of the kith and kin here. I think I'm going to go with, for this example, I'm going to go with a kith of underfolk and a kin of dwarves. So I will put a kith of underfolk and a kin of dwarves. Okay. Your kin talent. Oh wait, write down your kin talent, which I need to look at the. Dwarves. The dwarf talent is labor unending. You may mark the stressed condition to stay awake all night and perform 2 camp actions instead of 1. So that's pretty cool. All right, so my kin talent is here. Oh, labor unending. The reason it's popping up here is because I did this once already and had to restart it, so that's why I've typed in a few of these things. It remembers the last thing I typed. Don't know if that's a setting or, yeah, anyway. Okay, let's see, what's the next? Your kin talent begins as mastered. A mastered talent can be used without spending XP. Okay. Choose a path from chapter 5 and put 4 in the corresponding attribute. So the paths, let's see, chapter 5. the 4 paths. So the path of swords is basically a warrior. Path of cups is, or pentacles is a rogue. Cups is a scholar. So some of the, I'm trying to decide between swords and cups, because wands is the wizards, right? I definitely don't want him to be a wizard. I want him to be more of a stereotypical dwarf. So he could either be a fighter, in which case I would take swords, or he could be sort of like a crafts person, which case I would probably take cups. So the talents for cups just don't seem as interesting, of course, as the warrior talents. So I'm going to go with swords. So I need to put a, let's see, put a 4 in the corresponding attribute. So I'm going to put a 4 in swords. Okay. Choose, write down all of your path's talents. So that goes here. And let me look up my path's talents. Okay, swords, talents. Okay, the first one is Aegis. You're carrying an intact shield and would suffer an effect. Notch your shield instead of taking the effect. Okay. And then Doom Eye. When wielding a missile weapon during a challenge, you may spend a sword card on your turn to perform a perfect shot. The attack automatically hits. Okay. Now I would probably go in and put some description of these, because heavy metal machine. During challenges, if you're wearing iron or steel armor, you may use a miscellaneous action to add your swords to your initiative as an interrupt. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Then Monster Hunter. When you master or train this talent, choose both a hated foe and a specialization. Okay, and then the rest of these is specializations. Okay. When you master or train this talent. Okay, so I don't pick that yet. Okay, the next step is Reaver. When you attack during challenges, you may also move one zone. Oh, that's cool, as you charge towards your foe. And then two-handed focus. And then finally we have War Stories. War Stories says, as a camp action, tell your guild the story of some of your past adventurers. You and everyone who listens gets to choose one of the following benefits. You can charge an uncharged bond, or you can gain an extra point of resolve. So that's cool. Okay. So those are the path talents. It says, choose one of your path talents to be mastered. Okay. Well, if I choose Monster Hunter, I could pick Beast Hunter, Manhunter. Kind of like Heavy Metal Machine. Or two-handed focus. It'd be cool to have an axe in each hand. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do two-handed focus, and I'm going to click Mastered. Okay. The rest of your talents are in training. think that, yeah, okay. Choose a name from the list on your kid's page or make one up. I think I was going to do Clive. Let me see if it saved it in here. Clive Runescrivener. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to keep that. Okay. All adventurers have a maximum of 4 resolve. You note that you start with a full resolve. So resolve, I believe. Let me look up what resolve lets you do. So this represents your grit to survive, resolve, adventurous fortitude. You may use resolve in the following ways. When the GM calls for a test of fate, you may spend a resolve to gain favor. Okay. You can also spend a resolve to gain favor on a, and then certain talents require the expenditures of resolve. And then you burn charged bonds to restore your resolve during the camp phase. Okay. So I need to mark that I have 4 resolve. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Number 2, fitting in. Puberty is a hard time. There are so many weird changes, and you have to make decisions about your future career way earlier than you want to. Tell a story to the table about something your adventurer struggled with while young. Based on the story, put 1 in one attribute. Put a 1 in one attribute. And then we're going to choose a motif based off the origin story. And then it might be related to your parents' professions or an apprenticeship. Now, I did create a macro for a random motif using the table in the book, but I really don't like that table. It's almost like he found all of the classes from old school D&D and put them as the professions, which I think it should be more of a... anyway, I don't really like that, so I'm going to encourage my players to make up their own. So in that spirit, let's see. I think I want to put a 1 in wands, right? Because I don't want my character to be mystical really in any way. He's a stereotypical dwarf. But what if he grew up in a household of non-stereotypical dwarfs? So what if his mother was like a sorceress? And he just didn't fit in with that. It didn't jive with him, right? So I'm going to put a 1 in wands. And then for my motif, I'm going to say he was a reluctant wizard because his mother spent his entire childhood trying to train him in magic, and he just did not have the aptitude for that. I think that could be interesting. So I'm going to say, oh wait, not quest. I'm going to say reluctant wizard. And I was bad-mouthing the random table, but I kind of think that's a result that could come up on the random table, so maybe I shouldn't. Okay, anyway. Choose a motif, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Number 3, failed career. You had a shot at a normal life and you blew it. What was your previous job? Tell a story to the table about a failed career, and based on that story, put a 2 in one attribute. And then I'm going to choose a motif related to that failed career. I'm going to say that he probably tried to be a craftsman of some type, right? Because he's a dwarf, right? And he's rejecting his parents' ideas of mysticism and all that stuff. So he wants something that is he can craft with his hands, right? So he's going to become some sort of craftsperson. So that means he probably needs a 2 in cups, because that's related to, not a 3, a 2, because that's related to tools. And then because he only has a 2 in that, he probably wasn't very good. So I'm going to say awkward craftsman. So motifs are made up of a descriptor and a profession. So I'm going to say awkward. Is that not how you spell awkward? Awkward craftsman. Okay, tell a story about your failed career, and then put a 2. Choose a motif. Okay, adventure calls to you. Tell a story to the table about why you're willing to brave the underworld. What is your quest? And I came up, I do have a table of random, well, so I don't have a table of random quests, although I might try to write one before we do our session 0, but I did make a roll table based on the random jobs table that's in the book. It's just to sort of jog my players' ideas, because I don't think they're gonna like having to come up with a quest just out of thin air. Although the fact that we're doing this this adventure path sort of life path sort of makes that a little easier, because I can already think of some things for my guy that maybe his parents, maybe his mother went off on an adventure, right? She went into the dungeon for some reason, because she's a wizard. What if after Clive went off to become a craftsman, his mother took on a new apprentice, and that apprentice is the one that went off and got lost in the dungeon, and that Clive feels guilty and responsible for that, because if he hadn't left, if he had stuck with the magic stuff, then this guy or this woman would not have disappeared. So let's say my quest is to find my mother's missing apprentice. Maybe my mother sent him into the dungeon to search for some type of mushroom or something, and then he vanished. Okay. So that's the quest. Choose 2 languages from page 29. Okay, let me find languages. Okay, I definitely need Vulgaris, which is the common tongue. So I'll put Vulgaris. And then, since I'm dwarf, I would think I would need... Is there a dwarvish? I guess not. There's the ancestral language of the Fae. And then there's basically Latin, which is Vetus. Chivalric is the language of the nobility, and Cant is the language of the lowborn. I guess maybe I learned to speak the Fae language from my parents. So I'll pick Tilwith. Okay. Number 5, full-blown weirdo. You set out to become that dreadful, ugly, and unwelcome thing, an adventurer. Your first foray into the underworld was what? Tell a story about your first adventure into the underworld, and based on your story, put a 3 in the last attribute. And then we're going to choose a motif based on this adventure, and then we're going to describe what I look like. Okay, so this is the roguish attribute. So I'm going to put a 3 in that. So I think I probably tried to be some type of rogue, right? Maybe I was hired on as a burglar. Maybe I thought that as a craftsman I could do lock picking. And who knows? Maybe I was kind of good at that. I've got a 3 attribute. So let's get a random motif and then see if that gives us some inspiration. How about that? So I'll generate a random motif with this button. A jinxed urchin. Yeah, I don't like that. Urchin, sorry. Let's try another one. Heretical witch hunter. Nah. Lazy urchin. I could do lazy. I'm not sure how that really fits with my idea of a burglar. What if I do a noisy burglar? So I was hired on as a burglar, but I wore my full-on suit of armor, right? Because I thought as an adventurer I need a suit of armor. So so I ended up being a noisy burglar. Let's do that. Okay. Okay. Then I would describe what I look like. Guild bonding. Each player declares a bond with every other player. Can't really do that now. Come up with the sigil and all that stuff. Which brings up a good point. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle the guild sheet in Foundry. I'll have to look into that and see if there's a way I can set up a party sheet for that. Okay, so do marching order, guild roll. Okay, treats for Maw. Look at the phallic market on page 162, and we're going to choose a luxurious item, common items, and as many impoverished items as I want. And then I can keep choosing items until my belt and my backpack are full. And then, yeah, and then we'll double check. So, okay, let's do some shopping. Okay, shopping time. Let's see. So we get 1 luxurious item, 5 common items, and as many impoverished items as we want. Now this next bullet is interesting. If any of your talents require specific items, and it calls out heavy armor as one of those items. These items count as impoverished items for you, and you can have as many as you want. So I'm going to use that to claim that heavy armor, because I have the heavy metal machine talent, should be an impoverished item for fighters. I could be wrong on that, but I think I would allow that as a GM. So I'm going to allow that for my character. So I'm going to take, so I've created this market thing here with a list. I am going to take iron armor, which takes up 2 belt slots. I could take steel, but that takes up 3. So I'm just going to say iron armor takes up 2 belts. So, and iron armor, let me look that up. I think probably it can absorb 2 notches. So I think that means should I put iron here? And then mark off 1. So now it absorbs 2. I'm not sure what. Oh, okay, it's putting it in. Okay, iron armor, and then iron armor. I'm not sure if I like the way that does that. Okay. But that counts as impoverished for us, so I'm gonna say that I still get to pick one more. Let's see, 1 luxurious item. Okay, well, it seems like I need weaponry. Oh, silver. I don't need a silver weapon. Where is the rest of the weaponry? Okay. Okay, there's a hatchet as a common item. Okay, so why don't I take, let's see, what do I need? A lantern might be good. Yeah, let's take a lantern as our luxurious item. Lantern, not lantern. Let's look up details on the lantern real quick. Lanterns provide bright light to the person holding them and dim light for everyone else in the guild. Lanterns are lit by oil, which must be carried separately. Okay, so we need to remember that. We need to buy some oil. They shatter when they're dropped. You can tie one to your belt if you take a wound, it shatters. Okay, a lantern can flicker 4 times. So I can mark this, and it has 4 flickers. Now I probably want to tie that to my belt, right? Lantern. Can I do that? And then I don't have to put it in my pack. The only bad thing about that is if I take a wound, it shatters and I'm covered in oil. Okay, well, we'll do it anyway. All right, so that was my fancy item. How many, let's see, I can't remember how many. I get 5 common items and then as many impoverished items as I want. Okay, so 5 common items. I definitely want 2 hatchets. I want an axe in each hand because I have the 2-handed focus. What is this? Right hand, left hand. Okay, so I can put in a hatchet. And a hatchet. Okay, so I have 3 more common items that I can purchase. I need some clothes, so I will put clothes here. Common. Okay, I have 2 more items. Is oil? Where is oil? Oh shoot, oil is a luxurious item. Well, that's okay. Well, then let's forget that lantern then. We don't need a lantern. If we can't buy oil for it, it's not much point. Let's pick a different luxurious item. An alchemy kit might be interesting. That basically would let us cook stuff from our monsters. Sort of like what's the dwarf dude's name in Delicious Dungeon? Might be interesting. Yeah, let's take an alchemy kit. And that takes up 2 slots. Is that how you spell it? Alchemy. Alchemy. Hey, I spelled it right. Okay. I'm going to say 1 of 2. So I'll remember that I don't actually have 2 of them. Okay. All right, so that was our luxurious item. We have a hatchet. We have a second hatchet. We have our clothes. So we still have 2 more common items. Fishing gear might be interesting. Grappling hook. Ooh, a helmet. Oh yeah, let's take a helm. That takes up a belt slot, so. Okay, so we've got our 2 hatchets, our helmet, our clothes. We've got 1 more. We need torches. So let's take, just 1 torch. Okay. Now a torch. Oh, a lockpick. Ooh, I would like to have a lockpick. Torch can flicker 3 times. Should we take a lockpick instead of a helmet? Yeah, let's do that. So we get 6 lockpicks. Lockpicks. Okay, so that's our 5 items. We have 2 hatchets, lockpicks, clothes, and a torch. Now we can take as many of the impoverished gears as we want. We definitely want a bedroll. That takes up 2 slots. Ooh, we could take rags for our clothes, and that would give us enough to get our helmet. Oh, actually, weaponry is listed as an impoverished gear. Weaponry includes any basic arms and ammo listed in the weapons section. Oh, okay. Well, we've got a lot more stuff then, because our hatchets then are... Okay, and axes. Oh, all right, I totally did this wrong. So we can just do an axe. And an axe. And then that would give us our helm. And we could get another torch. So now we've got helm, clothes, alchemy kit, torch, helm, clothes, and lockpick. Yeah, all right. So now we have 2 torches. I feel a little bit better about that. We have an axe in each hand. Let's see. What else do we need? Let's get chalk and candles. Candles, flint, tinder, definitely need pipe and pipeweed. That helps us get rid of stress while we're camping, just like in real life. Okay, let's do rope, and then we'll fill up the rest with rations. Got a lot of crap here, and of course if we get loot I'm gonna have to ditch a lot of this stuff, so let's just take like 4 rations. You know what, how is encumbrance? How's encumbrance calculated? Pack space and gear. You have 4 slots to carry items on your belt and 21 slots in your pack. And your 2 hands. Okay, so axe. I can put 1 thing on my belt. Could I put a torch in my... Let's put a torch on my belt. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I've got 4 slots now to put loot. I've got a torch where I can quickly grab it. I've got iron armor and a helmet, which matches my character concept of a noisy burglar. I've got my lockpicks. I've got my axe in each hand so that I can use my two-handed focus talent. Got my heavy armor so that I can use my heavy metal machine talent. I don't have a ranged weapon, so I can't use Doomeye, but I'm not sure if I would want to spend XP in that anyway because it's not mastered. So anyway, let's see. Did I get everything? What else do we need to do here? Putting it all together. Okay, so my adventure has an attribute set of 4, 3, 2, and 1. I've got that. I've got a path of swords. I've got 1 mastered path talent, a mastered kin talent, and 6 path talents in training. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. I've got a quest. I've got 3 motifs, 4 resolve. I've got a full backpack and a belt containing 1 luxurious item, 5 common items, and many polished items. Okay. Now, normally I would have bonds with the rest of the guild, and I could come up with an appearance, and I have a name. So yeah, I think this guy is ready to go. Yeah, I think this would be a really fun session 0, especially since you have to have to develop the guild together, and you have to set bonds to each of the other players, which I think will be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing that. So this will definitely be a session 0. We usually don't record our session 0s just because they're usually, pretty boring. But I think I'll record this one because I think this could be interesting, especially if the guys really get into coming up with the backstory and the motifs and all of that stuff. So looking forward to trying out His Majesty the Worm. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful for somebody. Or entertaining at least, and I hope you'll join us on our future adventures. Bye.